Most people think that it's wrong to change their opinions. But if we want to grow as a person, we need to be open to change our minds. I came across with the following statement. As the world changes, we must change with the world. It reminds me of that phrase from a famous political joke. If the party line changes, I must change with the party line. But I'm gonna quote George Bernard Shaw here. His saying is more logical, I think. By the way, he was a friend of the USSR and he liked it. He made the following observation. Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. The basis of all learning, and language learning in particular, is remembering, memorization. We need that for everything, and it's a very important process. But we can't stay at the level of remembering memorization forever and ever. Teachers who start teaching a foreign language quickly become frustrated. Even if they love their job, they become frustrated with themselves and with their pupils, with their students. To be prepared for classes, teachers quite often spend a long time on the internet looking for something new, listening to other people's opinions, reading lots of blogs, listening to podcasts, watching videos on YouTube. There are about 20,000 foreign language teachers in Belarus. So there could be at least 20,000 different opinions on how to learn a language. I'm not interested in adding any more to this mix. Firstly, it's not so easy to produce anything brand new. Secondly, new ideas should be proven, or at least should be tested. But teachers are always trying to look for something. What are they looking for? What is the most sought-after goal in language teaching? Medieval scientists were concerned with trying to discover ways to change ordinary metals into gold. And the philosopher's stone was the central symbol of the terminology of alchemy. Today's teachers, like medieval scientists, are trying to discover ways not to change ordinary metals into gold, but to find the best way in language teaching. Quite often, teachers act like alchemists, trying to find their metaphorical philosopher's stone for the sake of the best way in teaching. Is there a single best way in teaching? Perhaps not. In general, it's a combination. It's a mixture of different approaches and practices. The informational landscape, as well as educational landscape, has witnessed a remarkable transformation due to advancements in artificial intelligence. Now we have access to a wide range of AI tools that can streamline our work, enhance productivity, and improve the learning experience for people. Unfortunately, quite often, information received even from a famous person can be absurd. Hearing the following ideas makes me feel like a deer in headlights. Even though I am a native Russian speaker, I am confused by these statements.
Языки примерно более-менее похожи, когда речь идет о очень простых вещах, для которых вообще мозгов не надо. Английский язык, он тоже, там есть много в нем красоты всякой, но эта красота неизвестна почти никому уже. Там, понимаете, в чем дело? Реальных людей, занимающихся английской литературой в Англии и в Америке, их единицы. То, что они там пишут в основном, это читать невозможно. Это язык, это компьютерный язык, скажем так. Это функциональный, жесткий, Все идет от глаголов. Ну, вот, очень простой, незатейливый язык. Там все очень линейно. Ну, вот. А язык философии, литературы – это русский. Уже если вы хотите что-то осознать и в чем-то разобраться, учите русский, господа. Потому что такое количество оттенков смысла, которое есть в русском языке, никакому английскому, японскому, французскому, китайскому, немецкому не снилось.
Actually, such opinions help us develop a built-in bullshit detector. Of course, there's a lot of useful information, but it also should be filtered through critical thinking. Perhaps you've heard that translating in your head prevents you from speaking fluently and confidently. Let's listen to the following.
What does thinking in English really mean? What it really means is this. Your brain can access English words and phrases quickly and automatically, without needing to search for them every time. It's about access. When you translate in your head, your brain does two jobs. First, you think of the idea in your own language. Then you look for the English words. That extra step takes time, and that is why speaking feels slow and difficult.
Firstly, our brain is supposed to do certain work. That is its job. Secondly, the number of jobs doesn't matter. What matters is the result. Access or fluency is based on automatic processing, and that's correct. To prove something important, we use academic research. What does academic research show?
What the research actually shows. The researchers focused on something called cognitive fluency. Let me explain. In simple terms, they studied how quickly the brain can recognize and retrieve or bring back words in a second language. Here's what they found. Some learners rely mainly on controlled processing. That means their brain slows down to search for words and check choices. It showed that their brains were simply better trained to access English quickly.
We must understand that controlled processing and automatic processing, are two stages of one learning process. Automatic processing is the last stage or last step in learning. And the first step of learning is controlled processing. When you translate in your head, when you think of the idea in your own language, when you look for the English words, when you try to recall pronunciation of the word and whatnot. Then comes automatic processing, when we train our brain to recognize words faster and retrieve them with less effort.
Translation is not bad. It is normal, and at the beginning it is very useful. How much time I spent listening to my second language. I started hearing the same phrases again and again.
Controlled processing requires more mental energy. That's correct. But translating is not just good or normal, it's absolutely necessary. Learning a language is a constant process with new words, new grammatical ideas, new pronunciation. Learning a language is a permanent beginning process. That's why your speech may be slow, hesitant, and unnatural with new input. It means that we must understand everything on this stage, and that controlled processing is followed by automatic processing. For some people, it won't be enough to hear some phrases again and again. Some people will have to hear the same phrases again and again and again and again.
You don't need to understand every word. In fact, understanding 60 or 70% is good. It pushes your brain to predict meaning, use context, and fill in the gaps.
In controlled processing, you must understand every word. Actually, if you understand 60 or 70%, it just means that you have to reach 100%. That's it. It is a good idea to predict meaning using context, but the average prediction score is around 25%. Comprehensible input can't allow us to use such low percentage. In a learning process, we have to work in a doubt mode and be ready to check up every unfamiliar word. Yes, your speech may be slow, hesitant, and unnatural, but it should be correct. We must remember that correcting mistakes will take more extra steps, more time, more efforts in the future than just learning. We are not forbidden to make mistakes. We are forbidden not to correct them. That's all for today. Good luck.